Well, what's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the Chamber Podcast. My name is Rob Johnson, and today we have another Rob joining us in the studio, Rob LaCross of Floor Coverings International of Huron Valley. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So, Rob, first podcast.
Yes.
So, give me an assessment on the nerves level, 1 to 10. Where are we at? You get nervous on the camera and the mic, with all the lights on the big stage?
You know, I'm pretty chilled out. I'm actually all right.
Good deal. All right, so going into the trades, this is a really interesting conversation we're going to have, I think, because a lot of people are filled with a lot of misconceptions when it comes to trades. And specifically when we talk floors, there's so many different dynamics to it, facets, things you can and can't do, things you shouldn't do probably. Like carpet in a kitchen. Who's doing that? Hopefully nobody. Oh, you'd be surprised in some of these houses I'm seeing on realtor.com. It's pretty crazy. I'm like, who puts carpet in the dining room? It just shocks me sometimes. So I guess, Rob, before we dive into like the meat and potatoes of what exactly it is that your company does, kind of tell me about how you got involved in the trades and specifically with the floor covering space.
So I have a long history of construction background, and several years ago, the company I was working for decided to send all of our jobs overseas. And so I got together with a few of my guys and I said, hey, let's go start our own thing. And so I started looking at franchises. And in that process, somewhere along the way, I ran across Floor Coverings International. They turned out to be a really good fit. The home office is truly looking for the success of not only me, but the brand as a whole. And that's how we kind of got into it.
Okay. So going from construction to, was it more general construction or was it kind of in the same?
It's a little bit of everything, commercial, residential, but we kind of focused into the flooring, and kind of that's how we ended up really specializing into what we do.
Do you feel like that general construction background was helpful in going to the floor space? Because now you can talk probably more about all of the peripherals rather than just the flooring.
It's a huge advantage. When I go in and I'm talking with a customer and they've got a person that comes in and talks to them that really doesn't understand the buildup of the floor or the construction in general, yeah, it's a huge advantage for us.
Excellent. So it's kind of give me a rundown of a day in the life. What are some things that you guys do if you want to go kind of top to bottom on the service list, and then just talk about what a normal day for Rob LaCross is?
So service-wise, we do a little bit of everything. We do subfloor repair. We can repair just about any kind of floor. If you walk on it, we actually do it. So that's something that's kind of amazing. We do a substantial amount of carpet. We're in Michigan. It gets cold here. People like that carpet for the warm, fuzzy feeling in the bedrooms. We do a lot of hardwood. We do some exotic hardwood as well. So we've got some pretty neat stuff out there that we've done. And one of our biggest sellers is vinyl. Vinyl flooring is waterproof. It's very durable. The upper end vinyls are every bit as nice looking as a hardwood and probably more durable.
So one of the things we talked about in the pre-show was the misconception that people have or comparing vinyl and laminate. I know you mentioned you wanted to talk about that. So for me, if you need me to fix your computer, run some marketing, build a website, I'm your man. If you want me to install your floor, I am not. So take me to school on the difference between laminate and vinyl.
So laminate is basically waste material. They take that and they make a core out of it. And then from that, they put a veneer over the top, which can be a variety of different things. Sometimes it's a picture of what they want it to look like, and then a wear layer is put on top of that. Other times it's a couple other processes that they use. But ultimately, laminate, for the most part, if laminate gets wet, it's a press board, and it tends to swell up, which means that once it's gotten wet, and it's done that swelling, your floor is ruined. And no different than a hardwood. If the hardwood sits in water long enough, it is going to eventually give and need to be repaired. But laminate itself, water is the worst thing for it. When we compare that with vinyl has a variety of different cores, but some of them are completely all plastic. Some of them are different kinds of cores, such as stone and things to that nature. But vinyl then has a material that's on the top of it, which is basically whatever your visual is. And then from the visual, you get your wear layer, and the wear layer goes over the top of that, very similar to how laminate is done. You have a wear layer as well. Once that's all put together, this is a 100% waterproof piece of flooring. You could take this and stick it in a bucket of water. A week later, it will still look the same.
Oh, wow. So for laminate, is there any application where that would be valuable to put that down?
It is a material that gives you a very nice look of wood. It's great in places where there's no water, bedrooms, living rooms, things like that, where you're looking for something a little less expensive than hardwood.
But if I spilled like a cup of water on it, would that make it inflate, or does it need to be submerged, or does it need to be sitting longer?
You've got a little bit of time to clean it up. And some of them, they claim them to be waterproof. That may or may not be entirely true, but whatever the case may be, it is a more durable product. But as long as you're cleaning the material up from liquids relatively quickly, you should be okay.
Okay. One of the trends that I'm seeing online right now is hot floors. So they're heated floors. You know what hot floors be like? It'd be like a real life version of the floor is lava, but warm floors. So I know what you mentioned to me kind of blew my mind for a minute, because I imagine, to me, it sounds like a fire hazard, but warm carpet. But I know a lot of times in bathrooms, people are doing this where they'll run, I don't know if it's pipe or a layer or a heating element. I mean, this is your gig, not mine. So what are people typically doing when it comes to heated floors?
So we install an electrical version of a heated floor. There are water versions of them. We don't do those per se. That would require a licensed plumber and a variety of other issues that we just don't do. But with the heated floors that we supply, they come with a heated element that goes underneath the flooring. Depending on the type of floor that you're installing, we can put it under hardwood. We can put it under a variety of different vinyls, some laminates, not all of them. And we also do carpet, which is kind of something that most people don't know.
How does the carpet work?
So very similar to a regular carpet install, we put a pad down, then we put the heated element over the pad, and then the carpet goes over that. The nice thing with any of the heated floors that we have, there's a unit that goes on the wall. It connects to your Wi-Fi, and it can sense when you're getting close to home, and you can have that particular room heat up for you before you get home. Or if if you get up in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning and you want your floor heated before you get up, it can be, we can set it for 5:30 in the morning or what have you. Sometimes in bedrooms, there's areas you may not want to heat, such as where the bed is. Underneath the bed might not need to be heated. So we can make that custom to heat the areas that you typically would walk in, or in the bathroom. Like obviously we don't want to heat underneath your cabinetry, but we would heat the areas that you'd like to stand.
Yeah. So it's like zone heating, but at a much, much smaller scale.
Very much so.
Interesting. So how much, I know you've been in the industry for some time, is that something that is increasing in demand every year, or has it been pretty much just a small percentage of the business?
So in Europe, they don't have a lot of the forced heating that we have here in the U.S. So because of that, many times the people there have radiant heat. This is radiant heat. So it will heat a whole room. So this is one of the products that is very big over there, and it's really been brought into the U.S. For instance, one of the examples that I have is a lady that she was having dementia, and her husband was trying to find a place for her to sit. They had a 3-season room here, and it just wasn't all that warm. They'd done all sorts of things to try to make this room warm, and they called me to replace the carpet. We got to talking. I said, "Have you tried heating the floor?" And he said, "No, I've never heard of heating that floor." Well, we did it for him, and this is the only room that this lady can sit in and be at peace. And anywhere else in her house, she's just very agitated. She's just not a comfortable. It's not a good place for her. Anyway, we put the heated floor in. We put her in that room, and now she's able to sit in that room year round. Even in the coldest weather of winter, that room is still comfortably warm.
That's awesome. That's really cool. It's something I wouldn't even think about, because we have, like in our house, we have one room that is a little bit colder because it's farthest away from, our furnace. So it runs a few degrees cooler. And that seems like an excellent solution for something like that. I wouldn't even begin to think about it. I'm thinking about putting like a fan inside the vent, and, that's really outside the box thinking.
This gentleman that I was talking about, he ran gas lines in there and put a gas heater in that room, and it still wasn't heating it up enough. That tells you the potency of that.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. One thing you mentioned was exotic wood. So what types of, and one thing I've seen that I really like, and I know it's 50-50 for a lot of people, is the layouts where people will put like different badges or icons or things like that inside of their hardwood when they're doing their layout, as like in their foyer, like in their entryway. What are some pretty interesting exotic wood or just wood layouts that you've seen and done?
One of the big popular ones is the herringbone. And we run herringbone patterns in a variety of different places. A lot of times it can be very busy looking, but done properly and in the right application, it can look very nice. We just did a foyer in a herringbone and then basically framed that in and then ran the rest of the flooring all around it all the way through the house. And it came out beautiful. We actually did that in a walnut, solid walnut floor, which is beautiful. The customer loved it. It's a darker wood, and the way they redid their house, we had white cabinetry, dark countertops, and with that dark floor, it just really popped.
That's cool. And just for you, I know you've been in the construction trades game for some time. What's your favorite thing about what you do?
You know, the favorite thing about what I do is to walk in somebody's house, listen to all the things they love or hate about their floors, and then coming up with a solution for it. That's a really good feeling to walk out of there knowing that we can do something that's going to dramatically change their home. But then the last part of that is to go in and actually do the work and walk out of there at the end of the day with a wow factor that the customer's amazed that, you know, they've got these floors that just completely changed their home.
I would imagine that there's a lot of relief probably from homeowners because it's a space they see every day. And I know for some people, it's like, I hate this carpet. It's dirty. I want wood. I want different tile. And it's probably a constant conversation around the house. And having that solved, I imagine would be quite a difference maker.
Well, there's something you and I haven't talked about yet, but it's our mobile showroom. And when I pull up to a job site, I have a mobile showroom that has over 3,000 samples in it. I can rival any store's inventory in what's in my van. We pull in, we look at the job, we do some things different. When we're talking with the customer, we hear all the problems, we walk the space, we measure the space, we do all of the things that we need to do to make sure that we have everything in place to do the job. Then we start bringing products in that will suit what the customer's needs are. And that's when the customer really gets to see what we really do differently. But on top of that, if you're in the store, you're sitting in a store with, the fluorescent lighting or what have you, and you're looking at this product. As soon as it goes into your home, it may not look the same.
Yeah.
So we're putting it right on their floors. We're looking at it. We're coming up with solutions. And then by the time we get all done, the customer even knows the exact price to do that job.
That's a tremendous advantage.
It's huge.
You make a good point about being under the fluorescence under the your Home Depot, Lowe's, yada yada. It's hard to imagine. Even like we've picked out wood before. It's like you have to take home 4 or 5 samples, which isn't enough to be able to see like the full pattern, how it's going to look, and then be able to compare it to the full layout. So having someone with bigger pieces, bigger samples being able to come in, I imagine that's a pretty nice advantage for you.
That's a big advantage. And the other thing we can do is all of our suppliers, we're direct with our manufacturers. So if I get in with a customer and they're looking for something, they want to see something a little bit bigger, sometimes I either have it in my warehouse so I can bring a big piece out there and put it right in their home. They can take a look at it. They can watch it for a week. Some people just want to see it in the different light as the day changes. Yeah. Other times I can go right to the manufacturer and they'll send the customer out, 3 or 4 different pieces. And that's nice because you can see the variation in that particular product.
So from a top level perspective, like what are some trends that you're seeing in the industry that people ought to be aware of? And then as a follow-up to that, what are some things that people need to understand that's a risk when they're hiring a flooring company? Because I'm sure you've probably had to go behind some companies here and there and clean up some stuff, maybe once or twice. So what's one thing you're looking forward to? And then kind of a buyer beware, what's something that consumers ought to pay attention to?
Well, the new products that are coming out are amazing. The manufacturers, you've got people like Shaw and Mohawk and a variety of other guys out there that are coming out with some really nice products. The colors are changing, but the performance of those products is really what's going to set them apart. That's probably the biggest thing. Things that I would really steer away from. I won't name anybody, but I will tell you we've run into some pretty crazy stuff out there. We had a company that installed floors for a lady. She was putting in a vinyl floor. They were supposed to put 1/4-inch Luan board, so basically 1/4-inch plywood, to give a smooth surface for this product to be installed properly. they put in cement board as if they were installing tile. So apparently they must have had a whole lot of cement board left over from a job. And anyway, we went in and had to tear the whole floor out, take all of that out. The lady was having a problem when she'd walk around her house. As the floor would move, which it's not supposed to do also, it would push air through the cement board, and then dust would come up from all the crevices in the house. So she had a real major problem. But then on top of that, the flooring was just coming apart at the seams, and literally coming apart at the seams. So we went in there and tried to reuse as much of the material as we could. We did have an in on the material, so we were able to get the material, something made by the same manufacturer that matched that flooring. And we went in and basically redid her floors. But her floors were only 6 months old when we went in and redid them.
What type of recourse does a consumer have when that happens?
Well, she would have all kinds of recourse, except for she couldn't find the guys. So you can, go and get a judgment against them, but it's no good if you can't do anything with it.
Yeah. And that goes a lot into what I always talk about from, when people come to us for consulting and marketing, things like that, is you have to have some type of authority in the marketplace, credibility, some type of online demonstration, because that'll do two things. One, it'll put some potential customers at ease because you're feeling better. And second, it gives you a body of work and service profile that you can point to. You guys have phenomenal reviews, and you have a lot of these bases, and we would call them objections in the sales side, covered with your mobile showroom, how your warranty works, how your team is positioned, how long you've known them. It's not like you're using, a bunch of random people off the street that you've never met before for jobs, and that's important to people.
Mm-hmm. That all goes hand in hand. And, we're not using subcontractors. We do use a couple subcontractors, but the majority of the guys installing floors for us are our own guys. And we're real proud of that. And we're proud of the workmanship that we put out. So those pieces all go hand in hand. But the other part of it, we have over 200 franchises throughout the U.S., and combined, we have over 30,000 reviews online and a 4.8 out of 5-star rating, which says a whole lot about us.
Yeah, that's huge. That's I don't know the numbers, but I would imagine that's pretty unheard of, especially in the trades, to have something at that scale and that many reviews and keep that average that high.
There's all of that, and then the other part of it is just trying to get somebody to call you back. I can't tell you how many customers we call them back, and they're like, oh my God, someone actually called me. And it happens all the time. Or we walk into their house, and they're like, wow, you really showed up. Not only did we show up on time. So
you did the work.
And did the work.
That's awesome. So Rob, if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best place for them to do that?
So our office number is 810-224-5555. Also, they can go online at huronvalley.floorcoveringsinternational.com. That's another way to reach us. And then they can also email me at rob.lacrosse, LACROSSE, at floorcoveringsinternational.com.
Good deal. And if you're weaving in and out of traffic and you missed all of that, fear not. It's all in the show notes of the podcast. You can find all that information there. Rob, anything else before we wrap today?
No, I really appreciate coming out here and meeting with you guys. This is a beautiful facility, and I don't think too many people know you guys are here, so I'll be out there promoting you guys as well.
Well, I appreciate that. We want to try and not be Livingston County's best kept secret, so that's the goal. So
awesome.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up this week's edition of the Chamber Podcast. I appreciate you watching, listening, wherever you're doing it from. We appreciate it. If you can do us a favor, if you happen to be a Spotify or Apple user, leave us a review on there. And if you want to be on the show, reach out to the fine folks at the Brighton Chamber of Commerce, and they will get you set up for an interview. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care.